Hey, welcome back to the channel. All right, it is time to continue on with the skill class in the top 10s. We do this every June and December. We have a lot of fun with it. And then remember, this is like my opinion. I have not run this by the Illuminati, and this series will culminate in the top 30, which will again be my opinion. And then of course, the general update to the monthly tier list I'm doing for about 5 years with myself, the full Illuminati, all of their experience, all of their knowledge. And yeah, let's jump into this. And remember, the criteria for it is basically who's the best in questing, long form, short form, story, EOP, all of that sort of combined as far as questing, and then of course battlegrounds as well. And we used war as a bit of a tiebreaker around here. If someone's really dominant in it, yeah, that'll push them up a little bit. If they're really weak, push them a bit down. 6-star lock champions will not be included, although I will talk about them at one of the tier breaks in this top 10. There's some 3 really phenomenal 6-star lock skill champions, and it just gets too difficult to prognosticate exactly how valuable they'd be. I have a variety of tier lists, best 6 stars and lower to rank up, best unawakened, the whole thing, to answer a variety of questions you may have. So let's go ahead and jump into this now. We will start off with the honorable mentions, and these champions, I think all of them have real strong cases to be in the top 10, but we will not be placing them right now. It's going to be Falcon, MCoC, and Hitmonkey. Hitmonkey is phenomenal, and I know for a lot of you, I know there's a lot of Hitmonkey fans out there. He is fantastic. If you really love playing him, especially if you take him to like rank 4 or something like that as a 7-star, you run the recoil tree and stuff, I know you're dominating things, all right? But I do feel these champions are better and more broadly better for the player base here. I do want to do a quick shout out to Ronan, Allison Edis, obviously does phenomenal things with them, and then Yelena Belova. But a lot of what I currently think is her power is in Battlegrounds defense. She is a pretty good attacker. I think if you want to rank her up for that and have some fun with her, you definitely can. I've done the new champion video on her. Just get her to Sig 1, and I think you're going to be A-okay, counter and miss and evade and having a great time and really striking fear into the hearts of your Battlegrounds opponents as you go along the way. So let's go ahead and start off with none other than number 10 in the class is Mantis. Obviously very, very high scores in Battlegrounds and then also in War. You know, can be used for science champions that are placed on hazard shift with their incredibly strong tranquilize against science champions, right? I've had plenty of fights even on hazard shifts where like a hazard shift node, a damage and debuff comes in after I've let go and we're throwing her big SP2. Don't love that, but she is fantastic. She's obviously a fantastic photon counter as well. So her battleground score is very, very high. And there are times where she can do things like take out onslaught, punching against class disadvantage and those sorts of things. Her buff was phenomenal for her, helping her get her mixed emotions up. And yeah, I mean, that's really her. She has huge cash out. I don't think she's a phenomenal quester, but similar to like Human Torch, if there's a big boss fight or something like that, and there's debuffs and there's science champion, she might be literally one of the best options for you. She's fantastic and a very deserving of the number 9 spot. We will now move on to the number 10 spot. We'll now move on to the number 9, none other than Bullseye. Now he's similar to Serpent. We think of him as a defender first and foremost. Any Battlegrounds meta that has any sort of powder green like the last couple have had, he just becomes more and more and more of a menace because you're having to constantly deal with, I think he calls it the killer instinct here, right? Where he is evading nonstop, these sorts of things. We are getting more and more counters to him, but again, even still with that mechanic, especially with power gain metas, he's an absolute menace, one of the champions I least want to fight. And then, so that does give him some Battlegrounds power, right? Some prominence there. I've shown him in War, none other than Hot Fuzz of SSX. And then he can be a very good quester. The damage is actually very, very consistent. People who've taken him to high ranks for Battlegrounds and then use him on offense, even a bit of a dual threat. And then he has he just literally cannot miss. It's like part of what he does. And then off of his SP1, he has, I believe it is called the True Accuracy. Thank you. There's so many true effects in this game. But basically ignores auto block and evade. You get your special 2, you trigger your evade, you throw it, you get the bleed vulnerability. I believe it was him or Yelena that's got it. I think they might actually both have it. You go into your SP1 and you do very, very respectable damage. A lot of utility wrapped up in this kit. Well, and it's easily and immediately accessible with just flat out can't miss. Moving on to number 8 is, I know, the favorite for a lot of players. In fact, I've been getting better with her been utilizing her to fight things and photons. And the real irony for me with her being Black Cat is that it often feels like some of her safest, let's call them matchups, are champions that actually can't be bled, like Thing and Photon. I'd really be excited to see a science champion come out who could be bled and see what the damage off of Black Cat would be like if they are able to ensure that things don't trigger. Basically, if you're unfamiliar with her, she has a significant amount of damage when an ability can't trigger, when she can reduce the ability accuracy so that she's getting these massive, massive damage. Now, her bleed damage can be phenomenal too. And also the relic, the Black Widow relic, is massive for her. It is not as much of a difference maker as like transformative on Crossbones as it is on Black Cat. On Black Cat, I think this helps her get into her mode, into causing things to fail significantly faster. And that is a big part, I think, of why you're seeing her be so prominent and why so many Battlegrounds players love her. She's a pretty good quester. Her playstyle, you know, when she first came into the game, I think we all thought it was going to be a little bit risky, like punishing heavies, using your own heavy intercepts and things like that. I think we found that, one, you don't have to do too many of those before you get your SB2 and like throw on the calling card, which is what she's moving back and forth. And two, I think as players, we've gotten a lot better at it since she came into the game. And then, like I said, that Black Widow relic, giving it's called a beeper, basically does nothing, and causing something to fail over and over is very helpful to Black Cat and those massive damage spikes that you see. Moving on to number 7, we have another champion in Mole Man, who you see some massive highs. Like, I think that's interesting about the skill class. We've got Mantis, Black Cat, and Mole Man, who just like, there's moments that like just play so well on YouTube. They feel great. You're getting fights over extremely, extremely fast. And then you've got Bullseye, just this very, very consistent damage. You know, Mole Man as well, one of the beauties is you do not need him awakened. He has his Purify, which can be fantastic, but in order to completely use it and then get into your Frenzy, you lose your true accuracy. He's since he basically got fixed, he's been a champion. You kind of have to figure out what it is you really want him to do. And it feels like, and I'm not meaning this literally, more figuratively, it feels like you almost lose half of his kit. Obviously, though, the matchups where you're taking him in is where you can get a lot of this going, get a lot of your Monster Mash, trigger your Frenzy, and then just absolutely blast through the opponent with massive bleeds, crits, and shocks. He's very, very good. I feel like his kit does feel dated. Again, there's times where he shows up and is just absolutely dominant, but you see, I've still got mine at rank 2, and I haven't really felt like I've missed out on anything. Even if his defensive prowess in Battlegrounds has just really been neutered significantly by all the recent mutants and they're just handling shrugging abilities. Moving on to the number 6 champion, we have one of the new ones. He was kind of behind a paywall in a way that feels a bit misleading, though, because I do believe you're able to get him for free over time. I just recently claimed mine. I am excited about diving into him more. Germ on my Discord server loves him, and I can see the appeal of Lumitrix very, very easily here. One, he does have the endurance, which feels like something the skill class is being asked to do more and more, or at least more and more champions are coming with it. I think it'll be good to see it playing a role more, maybe like a Science Defender, something like that, that's really asking for it. For those of you who don't know what endurance is, it basically reduces the duration of new non-damaging debuffs, right? So that would be really good. He can create his own mist. It's like with an evade and you hold your heavy and things like that. There's ways of playing him where you have basically this invisibility almost the whole fight. You know that I love that. It helps you create openings, Ghost, Hood, so many champions. It's even a thing on Nico, part of what I absolutely love about her. Well, Lumitrix does have it. And then he also has I think it becomes guaranteed critical hits, helping him cut through resistances, armor, and things like that. Really, really very good champion. I want to rate him higher, but there's not currently, again, and this is a theme with this whole class, there's not currently a big RPG ask of what Lumitrix does. He's generically very good, just like all the rest of these champions so far. But aside from like Photon, there's just not a big ask. And as a result, these champions, I think, are just all very good, but their RPG ask, again, is very, very low. I've been saying that a lot. I think you've got the point. We now can move on to number 5 and Shang-Chi. And I know that he has got his fans. I'm obviously a massive fan, have been for years. And what he does, it's very clear. You know, he's very clear. He can go he has a slow. He can go unblockable. He has a stun. He has a whole stun lock mechanic. because of the way his wushu strikes work. He can actually get through his specials very, very fast compared to the defender and things like that. He can cycle through them. He can get massive crits. He's a really phenomenal champion. He even has the cleanse mechanic. So again, if it's just a standard matchup, you can move through your strikes very quickly, getting to massive, massive SP2s. And then if the fight requires something very specific, like the slow, or maybe you to get your cleanses up, you can slow him down significantly, just utilizing those strikes, still building to your SP2 and getting off a massive, massive hit. So with him, I feel like what he does, RPG, what his abilities are very clearly tailored to. It's much more easy to see, and therefore he is holding his value significantly well. I feel very good about him at the number 5 spot. We will now move on to number 4. I'm filming this the day of the Titan switchover. Hopefully you've seen my opening. Unfortunately, I didn't come away with an Okoye. I thought I was going to get close, or maybe I just wanted to. I would love to get her. As I've been saying for months now, though, I want to see Okoye not changed by Kabam, or updated, or bug fixed, or whatever the term is. I'm not interested in having that conversation in this video. I just want to see her stay the same for a couple months. I don't want to see Vicious updated. I don't want to see her strings updated. Not her evade. Nothing like that. It feels like this champion is still extremely powerful. We covered her in the new champion video. She has one of the strongest anti-evade mechanics in the game with her Ensnare. She has the bleed and the shock, and one of the amazing things about a champion like this is if the opponent is immune to one of them, it's okay. She like kind of doubles up on the other, meaning you don't really lose much damage. You do want her awakened. Just Sig 1 feels like it is plenty, and if you for some reason don't have her awakened, this obviously won't help you in Battlegrounds, but you can run her with the Shuri synergy. I do think she's fantastic. I do want her pulled, and I will say we're about to hit a tier break. If she stays the same, if there's no more updates, if there's nothing like that, she stays for a couple months, and this video gets, when this video gets done in December, I do think there's a chance she's in this next tier. The top 3 champions for me are a tier above. I do think there's a clear-cut difference. I think Okoye's got a path for that because she also has high combo meter. And if that's being asked for more, there's a couple things in the skill class, being endurance and combo meter, that I feel like Kabam is more and more putting into the new champions. It's not being asked for very much. If it starts being asked for, and if there's places where they can use it, their prominence, their value, much like I did with Jack-o'-lantern, their stocks will go up. It's just a matter of which one. We don't know right now, and so we just rank on what we've got in front of us. All right, we're going to quickly talk about these 6 stars. We'll go ahead and take a look at Kate Bishop as we talk about the 6 stars. I would love to get them in the game. I put out the YouTube community post that, it was Kate Day. It was on Twitter. I tried very hard, and I believe I tried on YouTube as well, like vote for Kate with the 7 stars. Shang-Chi is great. Don't get me wrong. Kate Bishop is bonkers, y'all. And some people have mixed feelings on it. And right now, I just have to say, I love bonkers champions. I love OP champions. They can be a little frustrating in Battlegrounds, so I feel like I understand when some people say they wish they weren't here, but I love playing bonkers OP champions. It's a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to the day when Kate can come into the game. And Kingpin as well. I think because of Kate, we kind of forget about Kingpin sometimes. Big tanky boy, still plays a role every once in a while in relatively high tier Battlegrounds, shrugging all of those debuffs, going overpowered, hitting really hard. And while they did fix him, that SP1, yeah, you can tell that one's a little hard for me. I'm a little sour on that one. But the ability accuracy reduction, it does still work. It is still a thing. And then Valkyrie, if all 3 of these champions were immediately 7 stars tomorrow, I do think Kate and Kingpin are absolutely in the conversation for the single best skill champion in the game. Like, I think Kate becomes it, and Kingpin probably becomes number 1 as well too. Valkyrie, she ends up somewhere probably in the top 10, definitely at least honorable mention, but I don't think she joins the conversation for the top tier, for the top 1, and probably not even for the top tier. All right, now let's check out the highest tier. Now, for this top 3, I think you could really make a very strong argument for literally any of them, even based on the way I formatted this. Remember, it's questing and story content and act content and long form and EOP and Wheel of Fate. Like, how good are they in these things? Everest even comes into play, like an Acropolis and stuff like that. And then, of course, Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is a fun mode. People play it. And then you use War as a bit of a tiebreaker. Going through all of that, I've got to rank for High Sig Nick Fury, and I've placed him at 3. Again, though, I think you could make an argument for him being number one. It truly comes down to like, just what do you want? Like, how do you want to play? Because the fact of the matter is Nick Fury can, if, especially in his second life, become significantly easier to obviously hold on to his tactical charges and maintain them. He can just totally not miss and not evade. It's not an ability accuracy thing. It's not a debuff he puts on the opponent. They just literally can't miss or evade. Insanely powerful. On top of that, he's got the massive fury. So even if the champions can't be bled, he can still do pretty respectable damage. And if they can be bled, it's phenomenal. The thing is, you got to play him at like 30% health, okay? You can utilize your first life, but literally everything I just said gets significantly more difficult and not as strong, or becomes significantly harder to maintain, especially those tactical charges. You can get a little help with the synergy, I believe it was from Captain Marvel, but again, it's a lesser version. Now you have the safety net of the second life. So again, this is what I'm saying. It's all what you want. Like, you can see why that's so helpful in war, but in Battlegrounds, that doesn't really help you. Yes, there's the trick about getting the defender all the way down and then using the SP3 or killing your life model decoy. But again, usually those fights take longer, or if you make one mistake, you've now lost a lot of health. There are more answers to him defensively, although he is, for health pool reasons and the whole second life, one of the best defenders still, right? He's one of your better dual threats in Battlegrounds. He's a fantastic champion. Again, I think it just comes down to what you want. For me personally, overall in the game, as I value them, I've got him at third. I do think, I will admit, I really struggled between him and the next champion for number 2. At number 2, was, I think, my first rank 4 champion in the game. I pulled the skill gem. I was so incredibly happy to rank up Cheel. She is a fantastic champion. The worst thing, as far as the criteria we're using for this rankings, the worst thing you can say about Cheel is that she's not a great Battlegrounds attacker or defender. She's very solid in both. She can mess people up. If they block her hits, she can put the bleed on them. So she's got some defensive prowess. Her health pool is not tiny. Her specials take forever, so she has some slight stall mechanics. Offensively, if you're able to bleed the opponent and if you're able to punish their specials with or they're heavy with your heavy, she can actually be insanely fast. I've shown that. She has the grit off of her SP1. Thank you for pointing it out to me recently. I forgot that it actually is a passive grit. I thought it was a buff, which it means that the opponent will act as if they are not unstoppable even when they are. She has the cleanse mechanic, which is fantastic, and then off her SP2, she has a tranquilize, which just helps. She can essentially go almost debuff immune when she get her tranquilize up off the SP2, and then of course her own cleanse mechanic, which you are building anyway over the course of the fight. But when that's up, she even can't miss. So she's unstoppable and miss for you. She does not handle evade. And then as far as questing, long form, and just questing in general, look at this SP3 with this vicious passive. And then she has a really beefy heal. Gain 15-second regeneration buff, healing 50% of health lost in this fight, or 30% of missing health, whichever is greater. When do you ever see that? They always make you choose between like a certain amount or missing health. It just is what it is. In this one, you get the greater of these two, so she is phenomenal. Not only for long form fights, because her bleeds just build and build and build, but for fights where you can do multiple in the quest, or multiple fights in the quest, because she's got this heal and you can use it every single time. Just go to your special 3. She is a phenomenal champion. I had a little bit of struggle choosing between her and Fury, because the highs of Fury are so outrageously high, but the consistency of Cheel, the consistent goodness, I think, consistent greatness really had me putting her at number 2 and feeling very, very good about it. All right, and I think you know who is number 1. And I will say, because I know if you've been following my channel for months, for a long time, you know there's been a big back and forth for me on these two. I've been saying for a long time, I think Crossbones is the best skill champion as a 7-star. Well, then I got Cheel, I ranked her up, and I was like, okay, Cheel is the best quester, Crossbones is the best Battlegrounds attacker. And then Nick Fury came into the game, and he's just so eye-popping in so many scenarios. Crossbones is definitely the best Battlegrounds attacker. Like, I still think that even over Okoye. Okoye may prove me wrong at some point in time, but as of right now, it is Crossbones, okay? Significantly easier to use against hero champions. That has to do with his contempt bonuses here. You can kind of see them and look at it. It makes it easier to get his furies. You get more of them, easier to keep them up, that sort of thing. So when you punish or you refresh or something like that, you're keeping more. Totally get it. However, he's great in Battlegrounds. I use him for all kinds of champions. I use him for future Ant-Mans and things like that. The power games, the last couple of metas can mess me up a little bit. We've seen channels like Trap use him for onslaughts. So this isn't even just like, this is class disadvantage, okay? He's one of the best options for Thing and Photon, the two biggest asks. He can shut down evades of champions in the science class as well. I've got him at a pretty darn good sig. He does not need to be awakened to be good, but you do want a relatively high sig for him to be phenomenal in doing all of this, right? And it plays into his damage and reducing his ability accuracy. And I'm not going to be able to pull it up because here, actually we will. Let's go ahead and pull this up. And you're like, okay, cool, I get it, man. And we used to talk about running him with the MCoC synergy in questing, which is incredibly helpful. But there's a new champion that came to the game that is going to make playing Crossbones even more smooth in questing content, okay? And, you know, I already had him up there. It's not like this is new, like, oh, this synergy is why he's #1. I'm just saying the one weak spot in all of this, because he's phenomenal in War, he's phenomenal in Battlegrounds, I think he's the best in both of those, is, well, Shield gives him run for his money in War, okay? I don't want to overstate it. But he's the best in Battlegrounds. And then when you talk about questing, I still think Shield is the best, but I do believe that questing with Crossbones has got significantly easier thanks to these synergies, and is right here, Crossbones. While Overrun is on cooldown, intercepts trigger a Crossbones Fury pause ability. So you still have to play him very well. You still have to be landing intercepts, but you can be punishing those heavies. You can be punishing those specials. You can use your Overrun, or if Overrun is on cooldown, you just land an intercept and you will pause your Fury's abilities. I think you're going to see some absolutely wild stuff out of Crossbones in questing with this as well. He was already one of the best War attackers in the skill class, and definitely, in my opinion, the best skill attacker in Battlegrounds, making him, for me, the clear #1 champion in the skill class. I don't want to create a whole extra tier, but it was clear for me when I really sat down, thought it through, and did all this. Crossbones, #1. As usual, let me know what things you got right. Let me know what things you got wrong. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit like, subscribe, that whole thing, share it out, and make sure you catch every single one of the top 10s. And then, of course, the culmination in the top 30 and the general tier list. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.